United States Supreme Court corrupt, requiring the Constitution's checks and balances as these judges, these laws, refuse to adhere to demands of the Constitution requiring that they be checked. What you are seeing right now is, as you see the seal, you see that this has been filed. You see, this takes precedence over all matters. For the United States Supreme Court to concede to the Constitution's checks and balances, which are essential, meaning mandatory by law, to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, they must be checked for corruption and abuse of power. And as you see, this was petitioned July the 16th, 2018, calling for them to pay me $350 million for imposed slavery. As you see, this call for them to do this on July 20th, 2018. Today is July 21st. The Constitution of the United States, checks and balances is essential, meaning absolutely necessary. What they do is check each branch of government for corruption. Now, as I said, they've been called out to honor the Constitution, checks and balances, and even the United States Supreme Court will not do this because they are caught abuse of power, imposing slavery, prohibited by the 13th Amendment. That's a government cover-up. They don't want you to know it, and they are hiding it by what? Refusing to honor the Constitution themselves. As you see, the magnitude of this is that President Trump appoints judges to the United States Supreme Court knowing it's corrupt, and the checks and balances are required when an entire branch of government is corrupt. The United States Supreme Court violates Article 1, Section 9, powers denied the government. Now, powers denied the government is the Constitution habeas corpus. And as you will see, this is the United States Supreme Court again. Oh, once again, there's a stamp. There can not be no denying. This, the petition's restraint is in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States, and file a writ of habeas corpus. The writ's root principle is that government must always be accountable to the judiciary for a man's imprisonment. The judiciary is the judges. We on point in time, everybody. Zoom in with your lenses. The United States Supreme Court is corrupt. The habeas corpus is guaranteed by the Constitution, which is violated by counsel that has denied the writ's review to withhold judgment, which is required by the Supreme Court Justice's disposition for relief that was first sought in the lower courts. See, we come from the bottom to the top. And if the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, then the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. And what they did, when a man is brought by writ of habeas corpus to the United States Supreme Court, it is federal judge's duty to check the records and see if the records are correct. And if they are correct, to immediately release that citizen. This is how the citizens get their freedom when held in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States. And now, if you was to think, okay, we are human beings, but don't remember, they don't get the first chance to mess this up. So now, in remembering remembrance, if they did it a second time, And once again, can we get, yes we can. They received it a second time. This is addressed to the former Justices Paul Stevens and Sandra Day O'Connor. As you see, I'll let you leave it up there before you can put it on pause. Yeah, habeas corpus once again. Now, this habeas corpus, as they was called to do this, Friday, July 20th, adhere to the demands of the Constitution, checks and balances, check each branch of government. We got men that are supposed to secure these rights. Now, we talk about the United States Supreme Court here. So, as you saw these habeas corpus for the immediate release, and they did not release them, so the United States Supreme Court commits an act against the law imposing slavery in violation of the 13th Amendment. Prohibited, meaning against the law. This is what the United States did. This is why they refused to honor the Constitution's checks and balances, which is absolutely necessary, because it has to be necessary, or else they would just plain get away with it. Now, we're going to go over this habeas corpus, checks and balances. See, they gotta be checked. That's what upholds the integrity of the Constitution. And because the United States Supreme Court itself is corrupt, abuse of power, I told you, Article 1, Section 9, the habeas corpus. Now, here's the catch to it. It says, without the checks and balances system, there would be a constant struggle between the President, Congress, and the Supreme Court. Can't leave them out. This is history right here. I am Jesha Miller, a pioneer for freedom, justice, and equality. Now, you got the NFL. We got social injustice. We got inequality. We got police brutality. The Constitution checks and balances is what stops all of that. They continue in this. This is government chaos to keep you off balance so that you don't do what you're supposed to do, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. To uphold the Constitution's checks and balances, they must be checked for corruption and abuse of power. Then it goes on to say it is natural that each part of the government would try to expand its power. One trying to get more power than the other, trying to get more power than the other, trying to get more power than the other. Congress would start making laws that makes it more powerful. The president would use his power on the armed forces to gain influence, and the Supreme Court would cut deals with Congress by using its power to judge court cases. Now, it said each one of them would try to gain more power. And they've done that. Why you think everybody keeps wondering why President Trump is doing these things, which calls for his impeachment, and Congress don't say nothing? I just told you. So if you got the checks and balances, and the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branch, all three branches are corrupt, ain't one of them gonna tell on the other one. So now we come to this. The Creator sends someone. Because as I say, never before in the history of America has the checks and balances been petitioned by a citizen. Call of Duty. Here I go on the scene. I use the Constitution checks and balances. I petition the Constitution checks and balances, of which I'm going to show you again. This was just yesterday, fresh off the press. This is breaking news. United States Supreme Court refused to be checked by the Constitution checks and balances to conceal their own corruption and abuse of power. Now, we've gotten through that part. I'm going to show you how corrupt they are. These are the transcripts. Irrefutable evidence. Irrefutable means impossible to disprove or deny. This says, I'm David Cotty. At this point, there are no black people in the jury, and there are no black people in the jury panel. We have a right to object to that. I can tell you that I don't believe the law. Listen to the law. This is what I'm telling you. The United States Supreme Court refuses to adhere to the demands of the Constitution. It's checkout time. I don't care what y'all talking about. It's checkout time. Congress itself refused to adhere to the demands of the Constitution, checks and balances, because they all corrupt. It's checkout time. And America has to stand on this. We, the people, have to demand the Constitution, checks and balances. Government, once seeing this video on YouTube, has to adhere to the Constitution, checks and balances. They must be checked. That is a central part of the Constitution. It is vital. You see why it's vital? Because they corrupt. Hold up. Those are crimes. They're supposed to be indicted and arrested and charged for these things. So I got to do that. Because in the Constitution, checks and balances, it's their best man. Who they got? Jefferson Sessions. They got Jefferson Sessions as their best man against me. You know who I bring with me? The Creator. Ain't no black people in here. Wait a minute, let me show y'all what's shaking. These are the transcripts. Yeah. He knows it. My client objects to the fact that none of the venire men nor the jury are black people. He and that is based upon an assertion that he is entitled to a jury of his peers. My peers is black people. No, from the real though. The fact that there are no black people within this venire, I think that causes jury not to be a jury of my client's peers. I mean, there it is in the transcripts. Now, the common sense thing to black and white America. Hey, the melting pot. Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Mexicans, everybody. If it ain't no black people on there in the venire to pick from, it ain't gonna be no black people in the jury. It ain't none. It's 50 white people. That breaks the law in itself. Now, they knew this and they were told this. As these transcripts will show, a shocking development of which you will all know and nobody can refuse to demand that Congress address the Constitution, checks and balances. As you hear this, I don't think Indiana is in full compliance with the federal government's motor voter registration. As a result of that, we don't get a fair cross-section of the venire. See, the whole catch of this, listen to what I'm saying, pay attention now. I said cross-section. What I just called out, black, white, Mexican, Chinese, Vietnamese, a cross-section of the community. That means some of everybody. Everybody's a part of this. It's a melting pot. Everybody's a part of this. As a result of that, my client's rights under the federal and state constitution to a fair and impartial jury as mandated through the 14th Amendment and through the federal legislation, I think that's been violated. This is the 6th Amendment right guaranteed to a trial by a fair and impartial jury that they're violating. And this, you saw, was Judge David Kiley. But here's the catch. Pay great attention to what I'm just saying. So for the record, I make that argument as well. Here's one that you won't catch. As a result of that, we don't get a fair cross-section in the venire, and as a result of that, my client's rights under the federal and state constitution, the federal and the state constitution, to a fair and impartial jury as mandated. That means it's mandatory. That means you gotta do it. through the 14th Amendment, that's due process, I think that's been violated. So understand what just happened here. This man, as we go on, I say, the court showed it overruled. They overruled both the state and the federal constitutions. Yeah, you heard it. Pay great attention as required the Constitution checks and balances. This man overruled. I said, there is a violation, Your Honor. I'm telling him. See it underlined. That's why I got it underlined. There is a violation, Your Honor. He says, show it overruled. The magnitude of this is what I'm telling you. The judicial branch of government judges is overruling both the state and the federal constitutions and doing what they want to, have taken absolute power. That's doing whatever they want to. That's not abiding by the Constitution and the laws of the United States. Oh, and for all of those who are just saying I'm just flashing some papers, this certified by the clerk, baby. That's right. And for those who don't understand this, Title 18, Section 243, all of Title 18 is crimes. This judge just committed a crime. It says, the exclusion of jurors on account of race. First, I want you to see where it says crimes. That's right. Title 18, section. Down here, 243. The judge just committed a crime. Now, you see, they all take an oath, and everybody's honky-dory on the BS until you challenge, until you called out, until you got to man up to the Constitution check. You got to be man up to check. Now, this is the branch of government. Hold up. Enter Neil Gorsuch. Yeah, United States Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, we friends. So they say on Facebook. And so now, while we doing this, I send it to him. His camp, because Mr. Gorsuch, Justice Gorsuch, no disrespect, but you can't honor the Constitution checks and balances, which is mandatory by law. So how you gonna be a judge? You're refusing to be checked for corruption and abuse of power. So how you gonna be a judge? Wake up, America. They gave these men lifetime. Yeah. Get up there, well, till I kick croak or whatever, or retire like Justice Kennedy did. You're United States Supreme Court Justice. And this is what you do. This is what you do when the people have conferred this authority upon you as a justice to force the law. These are the laws of what they got to do. But when it came back and you got to be checked, judge not, yes, ye be judged. When you got to be checked, all of a sudden now you not abiding by the law because the United States Supreme Court is corrupt. Now, as what I just showed you, let's go off into this. Powers denied government because government powers are limited. They don't get to do whatever they want to. You talk about President Trump, he do. No, he cannot. Powers denied the federal government, Section 9, Article 1 of the Constitution. I want y'all to see it. Get it up close. Powers denied government. The reason why the power is denied government, because when we broke free from Great Britain, who would do what they're doing now, anything that they want to, before we signed that Constitution, what we got right now, we as a people had to have a way to sustain and enforce our right to freedom. The right to freedom is for all Americans. That's why all America, pay attention, all America, this Constitution's habeas corpus, the privilege of the writ of the habeas corpus shall not be suspended. Cannot do away with this. This is how you call for you're illegally held. You know how the police do sometimes. You tell them something, they gonna get bad. I'm lock your prison away. Be there 72 hours. Yeah. So they got you longer than 72 hours. They're putting bogus charges on you. So what do? You file a habeas corpus. That's for citizens held in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States. They got to prove and show why they hold you. And you prove that you're supposed to be free, you got to be set free. And what you just saw in the trial transcripts is they locked me up with an unconstitutional impaneled jury. All white jury on a black man. That's discrimination. They knew they couldn't do it in the first place. They was already being told you needed a cross-section. I told you, remember, cross-section of the community. America is the melting pot. Everybody's involved. And they violated it. Now, as I showed you before, you got to stand on this. And the habeas corpus is a power-denied government, is what I just showed you. And then I showed you this petition for my immediate release. They follow not even the fundamental requirements of the Constitution. They did that one time. Received. You see it received January. Yeah. So we come back and we do it again. This one right here. Sitting there telling them, y'all required to account for the imprisonment of a man. Petitioner's restraint is in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States and filed a writ of habeas corpus. The writ's root principle is that government must always be accountable to the judiciary for a man's imprisonment. The judiciary is the judges. The habeas corpus is guaranteed. That's power denied government. Guaranteed by the Constitution, which is violated by the Constitution. So, there that is. And we're going to do this in slow motion. So y'all can put it on freeze mode if you had to and see. These are certified documents. They did this twice. That's intentional. That's refusal to adhere to the demands of the Constitution for your freedom. God bless America, land of the free and home of the what? Call of Duty. Because these officials right here are in defiance of the Constitution. Power denied government. That's what I'm keep telling you. That's why I throw them up. Throw it up. They throwing up gang signs. I'm throwing up the rule of law. Now, as I did this, I told you. The reason why they ain't wanting to be checked, they keeping it in the dark. The Lord will tell you, what is kept in the darkness shall come to light. Evil is done in the darkness. Evil is done in the darkness. So that they won't be held accountable what the checks and balances does. Holds them accountable. stops inequality, stops social injustice. Oh, all y'all black people pay attention. You're getting stopped. Oh, they got a new thing where the white people just call the police. Call the police. Call the police. Social injustice. And when the police get there, they got y'all. The American culture of oppression. They got y'all so intimidated, so institutionalized that they killing you, and you gotta accept it. Now the whole catch is the NFL. Pay attention now. Roger Goodell, y'all got that money? Send me that money. Give me that platform. This is as big as it gets, baby. The checks and balances is Watergate. Checks and balances is as big as it gets. Now, we got government corruption here. So let's go to the First Amendment. Annotations 10, First Amendment. I got it right here for you. Y'all go ahead, freeze mode that. Because this, white people, I know y'all don't care, but this is what you do when they have gone to the extent that they are violating your rights. If they violate our rights, they got your rights. And your right is the right to freedom of speech. Oh, here the catch is, what you wasn't paying attention to before. Speech press. The purpose of the speech press clauses has evidently been to protect parties in the free publication of matters of public concern. Now, so, if the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, that's a public concern, because whatever you doing from the smallest court, you appeal all the way to the United States Supreme Court. So if that state is practicing illegal practices, it has to go to the United States Supreme Court, who are then supposed to get it right. You got your state, you got your federal, you got your appellate court, 7th Circuit, 4th Circuit, 11th Circuit, whatever circuit you in. But they a circus. When I said circuit, they got to be a circus because they clowns. They clowning you because they doing whatever they want to in judging the law. Going all the way to the United States Supreme Court. So pay attention here. Because I'm saying the United States Supreme Court is corrupt. The entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. And the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. It requires the Constitution's checks and balances as intended by the framers of the Constitution. Because they knew at some time or another in history, we're going to have some corrupt men in here. And these corrupt men are going to try to take over the government. And when you overrule the state and the federal constitution, you have taken over the government. You have taken absolute power. The United States Supreme Court and the entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. So here I go. The purpose of the speech press clauses has evidently been to protect parties in the free publication of matters of public concern. As I said, if the United States Supreme Court is corrupt, then CBS, CNN, ABC, and all the rest of the media should have been already in here, because that's a public concern, because that affects all Americans. So, to secure their right to a free discussion of public events and public measures, the United States Constitution checks and balances is an event. The United States checks and balances of the Constitution was Watergate. That's history. This is history. You trying to stop history because you trying not to be caught, because you trying not to be held accountable. You saw it. Here you go again. United States Supreme Court called to honor the Constitution checks and balances July the 20th of what ain't happened, because they refuse to adhere to the demands of the Constitution, so they will not be held accountable for the crime. You see, these are crimes being committed by the judges. I'm going to show you how they can conceal it from the public as I read. It enables every citizen, speech press, because if you got corruption on the government, everybody got to know that. So, It enables every citizen at any time to bring the government. That's what I'm doing. The checks and balances is bringing the government. But you just see the United States Supreme Court won't even acknowledge the Constitution checks and balances because they are part of the corruption. To bring the government and any person in authority to the bar of public opinion. The public is supposed to know. The public is supposed to know. By any just criticism upon their conduct and the exercise and authority which the people have conferred upon them. A government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We conferred this upon this judge. We conferred upon this upon them. Police. We conferred that upon them. And this is what they doing. So, First Amendment says that they're supposed to secure this right. That's right. To secure their right. There it is. The judge is supposed to secure this right to freedom of the press. And it says, check this out. Because I'm going to tell you, I said the evil is done in the dark and it cannot come to light. But the Lord says, of which time it come to light, then it will become manifest, and that your works were of God. Because I, as a veteran, all the veterans, check it out, all the veterans, took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. I know I protected y'all. I secured y'all right to freedom, justice, and equality. I secured your right to be out there barbecuing right now. I secured your right to sleep in peace with no threat of another country coming in and overtaking it. I did that. Oh yeah, and President Trump, United States Air Force, I protected Air Force One. Not once, but twice. Brothers from the hood, touche! That's right, I did that. So now you got a veteran here. Y'all gonna stand up for the veteran? Okay, Roger Goodell, all the owners of the NFL trying to find a solution to keep the brothers from kneeling because of the police brutality, because of the social injustice. This is what the checks and balances does. Stand up now. All y'all owners in the NFL, stand up right now, uphold the Constitution, checks and balances, because this is the answer. And it says, the evils to be prevented were not the censorship of the press merely. See, the press has come to this point where they sitting there telling me they not going to put me on CNN. They not got me on ABC, CBS, MSNBC, because they can put on whatever they want to put on. This is a public concern. Somebody wake up. All America wake up. A government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Wake up, goddammit. Put them toothpicks in your eyes if you're feeling sleepy, goddammit. Because right now, we as a people have to bring this to government that they got to be checked for corruption and abuse of power. Because this holds them accountable. So, now you got, it said that the press can't censor it to keep it from coming on, but any action of the government by means of which it might prevent such free and general discussion of public matters as it seems absolutely essential. Essential means absolutely necessary to prepare the people for an intelligent exercise of their rights as citizens. And what we got right now, inequality. What we got right now, social injustice. What we got right now, police brutality. What we got right now is a violation of the 13th Amendment imposing slavery upon a citizen, Jesha Miller, who served to protect those rights, and you gonna turn around and imprison him in violation of the 13th Amendment? So, now, I just showed you that First Amendment right, our people's right to freedom of speech press, because it ain't no good unless the people know. So, as going off into that, I'm going to show you, cover up. Judge Tanya Pratt. Immediate restitution to enforce the inviolable right of freedom of the press. Inviolable means it cannot be violated. It cannot be violated. The judge enforced that right. You just see the First Amendment said they supposed to secure that right. What they do, enforce the rule of law. That's what the judge is supposed to do. That's what they're supposed to do. But that ain't what they're doing. So they are in defiance of the Constitution, obstruction of justice. These are criminal acts, what they doing. There it is right there. Tanya Pratt been petitioned to enforce the First Amendment right to freedom of the press. I got to be on ABC, CBS, CNN. This is history. This is an event in history. Oh, wait a minute. All the veterans look real close. I know it says a veteran of the Vietnam era. I know it says that means that I protected you through war times, but he's his own, baby. Yeah. Veteran. Stand up for the veteran. That's just cause. Now, this judge, as you see, did not do nothing. So let's get the chief judge, Law Briggs. Chief Judge Jane E. Magnus Stinson take responsibility to enforce the First Amendment freedom of press guaranteed by the Constitution and order Stephen Mnuchin to disburse. That means pay out that money, baby. $200 million owed for Jesha Miller for default to due process and imposed slavery. I just showed you they did both. But they ain't got my money to the house. Huh? Bring the brand. Send out them Brinks trucks, baby. Put it in the bank, my bank. Yeah. Get the money to the house. But you see, I told you, United States Supreme Court was corrupt, and these are the federal judges denying the right to freedom of speech press to conceal it from the public. How far did they go? How far are they going? These are criminal acts by the judges. Okay, that was the chief judge. You just seen. Well, I just read it to you. Order the press secretary to pay the $200 million. Enforce the right to freedom of the press so the people gonna know. There it is once again. Now that was her, and here we go, Tanya Pratt again. That's right, get up a little closer. I want y'all to see that. Freedom of the press. Enforce that so that the public will know. Because if they don't let the public know, they concealing it. It's a government cover-up, and these are criminals. Not judges. They ain't judges. They ain't judges. If you a judge and you refusing to be checked, when it comes to your time to be checked, you're covering up the crime. That's obstruction of justice. Okay, and then we come back again. See, I did it real good. This ain't baseball. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So we're going to do it twice. Here we go again. Chief Judge responsibility, obey the First Amendment to enforce freedom of the press. Government cannot prevent in any manner. I want y'all to see that once again. Get it up there. Put it on pause if you got to read it. Yeah, that's right. And this is the Chief Judge, Federal Court, Southern District, Indiana. That's right. The Chief Judge. Concealing their own corruption. I told you, United States Supreme Court is corrupt. The entire judicial branch of government is corrupt. I got the evidence right here. Here it is, cut and dry. Wait a minute. You know, I told you. It's going to be your best man against me. Bring him home. He'll fall in the round I call. Now, first round, I know I laughed. You want to know why I laughed? Jefferson Sessions, United States Attorney General. Motion for immediate intervention by the United States Attorney General to immediately intervene because the court refuses to enforce the guaranteed right to freedom of the press, which officials are prohibited to deny, is inviolable, secure from destruction, infringement, and not even to be questioned. What? That's going on? That's gotta go on. Not even to be questioned. They refusing to secure that right, as I told you, to conceal their own corruption in the entire judicial branch of government. Oh, United States Attorney General Sessions, head of the United States Department of Justice, whatever that's hit it. The entire judicial branch of government is corrupt, including the United States Supreme Court and the Justice Department. Bam! Hit them or don't get them. Yeah. Stop what you're doing. I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Taking in control. Refusing to adhere to the demands of the Constitution. Doing what you want to do. There it is. Oh, that is the United States Attorney General. I don't think he wants to face me. Mano a mano, man to man. Nook to nook. And I don't care. Yeah. I just showed you the judicial branch of government, and I just dropped it, First Amendment style, baby. Get up real close. It said the evils to be prevented. So what they just did was an evil by the First Amendment annotations 10 of the Constitution. When I told you what I told you, I'm backing it. Walk it like I talk it. Walk it like I told you. Walk it like I talk it. And backed it up. That's right. Walking the talk and talking the talk. You dig what I'm saying? Now, digging in deeper. Yo boy, President Donald Trump, took an oath of office. You see that hand right there? That must be the one he put up, because that's the left hand. Because his oath of office was to preserve. It was to protect. It was to defend the Constitution, checks and balances, which uphold the integrity of the Constitution. But he didn't do it because he was on the wrong track. He was smelling his smell. He was doing it dirty. Yeah, President of the United States. This is his supreme duty. Corruption in all three branches of government. Oppression, refusing to pay Jesha. At this time, it was $140 million. I told you it's up to $350 now. Get it to the house. Bring the Brinks truck. Bing, bing. I ain't playing basketball. Bing, bing. I don't want the bounce. Ding, ding, ding. Bring the Brinks truck. I won't count it. Richard Pryor. I won't count it. Richard Pryor. I won't count it. Yeah, $350 million. Bring the Brinks truck. Now, this is to the president-elect. I let him know before he even come in. I'm going to break it down for you. Now, this was for the president of the United States. Oh, yeah. The president of the United States. Reference to perform your number one duty under Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution to faithfully see that the laws are faithfully executed. You see what I'm just saying? I just showed you evidence where the United States Supreme Court imposed slavery. Oh, the motive was to deny the $50 million. I'll get to that in a minute. Hold on, we ain't going to stop. We got it right here, right now. This is the whole catch. Money, power, and pussy. That's right, I said it. Corruption is for the purpose money. Wherefore the petitioner prays that this honorable court immediately grant stay and order my immediate release. I showed you the habeas corpus they was holding in violation of the Constitution and the laws of the United States. Real habeas corpus. Oh, I showed you. That's a power denied government. We're entitled to our right to freedom. The court will award the petitioner Jesha Jesha Miller the total of $10 million upon my release and an additional $40 million for punitive damages, which will be decided upon a jury, and any other release deemed just and proper within the premises, such as my driver's license. Now there you go. That's the motive for corruption in the United States Supreme Court. $50 million and power. Money, power, and pussy. Those are the motives for corruption. Now, for those, once again, we got it online. Here it is. Go to We the People Want Integrity.blogspot.com. You can go right there. Now, the magnitude of this is President Trump already knew that the entire judicial branch of government was corrupt, and at the same time appointed a judge when it is corrupt. What is that? He deceived the damn public. It's time for impeachment. He refused to uphold the integrity of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independent States, that if you cannot uphold the integrity of the Constitution, the integrity of it, they gotta be checked. That's the integrity. That's when you hold up, man up, because it's a call of duty. Yeah, when you called out, that's when you see whether or not that oath of office is real. Whether or not you gonna do what you said and they ain't done it. That's right. All y'all that agree to disagree is bullshit. You either do what you said you're gonna do or you don't. And if you don't, check out time. Mr. President, I warned you too many times. Hold up. There you go. President Trump and cabinet above refused to honor the Constitution's checks and balances, refused to enforce the rule of law, and continue oppression by refusing to pay Jesha Miller. That's right. You wonder how it got to $350 million to continue the oppression. You seen that they owed me $50 million to start off and they didn't want to pay me. Now that's interest, because they charging the interest. So the interest is now, it got up to this and it kept on refusing to pay. And now it's $350 million. Yo, today's the 21st. Pay up. Hold up. Yeah. There you go. President Donald Trump, FBI Director Christopher Wray. When I said what I said, the entire Justice Department. There you go. There his name is. Pop it off, baby. Now, they had him on MSNBC, and I sent to him to put me on because he was talking about upholding, his duty is to uphold the Constitution. He refused to uphold the Constitution and its checks and balances to be checked. This Chief of Staff John Kelly. Oh, your boy again, catching Jeff Sessions. Jeff? I call him Jefferson. Yeah. Time is about up, Mr. Sessions. Oh, and wait a minute. Here we go. 3 times. We ain't even playing baseball before. You just seen that one? Here's another one. Petition for action. Action. You don't sit around procrastinating nothing. This takes precedence over all matters of what I showed you about the United States Supreme Court. Stop what you're doing. I'm about to ruin the image and the style that you're used to. Doing what you want to do. You don't get to do this in your own time. Stop it. Stop that. This takes precedence over all matters. Whatever you're doing, whoever rank, whatever the hell's going on, stop it. This comes first. Precedence means number 1. Above. I know. Y'all thought y'all was running things. But this ain't nothing but his footstool. I'm going to preach to you today because he's in control of. I say, you thought you did it in the dark and said it's going to come to light. Bring it on. That's right. I said, bring it on. There you go again. Yeah. I don't want to hear no noise about that. I know the unwritten code about why, okay, I told you. He got something on Congress. Congress got that on him. And, everybody know the justice system been corrupt. It just ain't none came. I was sent to represent by the Creator himself. Now, I'm gonna bring it to y'all brothers because y'all under the American culture of oppression. And what you don't know about when you go in there, Constitution Law number 250.2, 4 in parentheses, which provides, brothers, every black man has a right under the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment is due process. That's what I told you. I'm getting paid because of default of the 14th Amendment right to due process to the Constitution, United States Code of America, that in the selection of jurors, I showed you, it wasn't no jurors. I said they violated the Constitution, they violated the 6th Amendment right of the Constitution, required the cross-section of the community. And I said the laws. This is constitutional law. That in the selection of jurors to pass on his life, his liberty, and his property, there shall be no exclusion of his race. Hold up, white people. Pay attention, white people. Be no exclusion of his race. That's the constitutional law. I said they violated the Constitution, the 6th Amendment right to a trial by a fair and impartial jury, and this is the constitutional law of which they excluded members of my race. I'm a black man. Ain't no black man. I just showed you. That's irrefutable evidence. Impossible to deny that they did this. I showed you. Damn it. So, what? Cut and dry. Yeah. This may be a little lengthy, but it sure is entertaining. I'm an entertainer, baby. Because I come to do what the Lord sent me to do. All men are created equal. And while all this was happening, we got the Comptroller General of the United States, Eugene Louis Diderot. And he is the head of the Government Accountability Office. Oh, and that's his number. Call him, tell him to do his job. All those concerned. For the ones need to know, Beth Miller, I didn't say Miller, is his secretary, his personal secretary, Beth Miller. You see, that's addressed to the Comptroller General of the United States. Reference to Congress must address the checks and balances and pay Jesha Miller $350 million. Wait a minute. $350 million, boy. It's time to shine. I can't see it for the light, baby. Yeah. So here we go. $350 million for imposed slavery. I proved the slavery. Slavery supposed to be about everybody in America. No, slavery been about everybody in America. No, cannot deny the right to due process. You see, 14th Amendment. This takes precedence over all matters and immediate restitution of $350 million. Oh, you owe me that money. That money's owed, man. That's how much money you owe me, man. Pay me my money, man. This May 3rd, 2018. May 3rd. That done passed. I already supposed to be rich. That's oppression. I don't got paid go to work tomorrow. Matter of fact, they fired me. I got a hardship when you read that. To the United States Supreme Court. So what do they care about us? But I'll tell you what, if you won't win taxes, they will come and repossess. If you won't win taxes, they will lock you up. So they got to be held accountable for what they doing and ain't paid my money. They got to be held accountable just like they dogging you out. Because it is already past due and by the rule of law. This is by the rule of law. This is by the rule of law they paid. And the United States Supreme Court is not going by the rule of law. It's time for the checks and balances. All America, wake up. Wake up. All America, checks and balances are an integral part of the Constitution which uphold the integrity of the Constitution. Oh, that's petitioned by me. Oh, yeah. I just showed you. They denied the right to freedom of the press, so I had to call on them. Come on with this. They ain't doing it because it's a government cover-up. These are criminals now. That's obstruction of justice, as I showed you. Comptroller General. Hold up. For those, wait a minute. Notice to Congress, the Constitution checks and balances takes precedence over all matters. Congress knows. Oh, but they appointed, went with him. I told you, when I said they was in cahoots, here the evidence is. Congress knew and President Trump knew what they was doing when they appointed another justice in place of Justice Kennedy and concealed it from the public by denying the inviolable prohibition. Prohibition means you're in violation by the law. They violating the law to conceal their own corruption. Here we go again. Uh-oh. There we go in big print, baby. I don't want you to have to strain too much. I know some of y'all might need a little glasses, but here we go. That's right. The Comptroller General of the United States, and when I came back, I'm coming at you again. Congress. There you go. Constitution checks and balances. This is what upholds the integrity of the Constitution. So they ain't trying to do no integrity thing, because what I'm telling you is right now is the scales of justice are unbalanced. These some crooked politicians, judges, all over the place in government. That's what I just showed you. Now, his correspondence team, I'm still on Jadero. I'm going to show you why I'm on Jadero. I'll tell you why I'm on Jadero. We back it up real quick, take it to the bridge. His mission is to support Congress in meeting its constitutional responsibility. He is supposed to be the watchdog. When he called me, that's right, I got the United States Comptroller General of the United States calling Jesha Miller. He called me. Yeah, he called me while the game was on. LeBron, y'all, KD, yeah, y'all was playing that ball, man. Hey, LeBron, you got too much ammunition. But anyway, man, besides that, the Comptroller General of the United States called me. I'm friends on Facebook with Justice Neil Gorsuch, and those are probably two of the top 10 most powerful men in America calling me. Y'all don't know who I be. T to the O-U-C-H-E in the hood. Touche. Yeah, I'm Jesha Miller. And you see that? Eugene Luis Jadero. He's supposed to be the watchdog. Oh, and also, Comptroller, he over that money, see? So he had to take that out of the budget. That's right, $350 million to pay me because they owe me. This is what y'all did. You see all these violations, prohibitions, powers denied government. I'm supposed to be paid right now. Stop the presses, dog. And here we go. So, I told you, all 100 senators refused to adhere to the demands of the Constitution and called for the judicial branch to be checked. All we ask to be checked. If we just check you, you clean, come on with it. But they not coming with it because that is the mission of guilt, the Bill of Rights, which no just government on earth can refuse or rest on inference. You can't rest on the fact that you're in power. Can't do that. But they doing it. So here we go. Joe Donnelly. Oh my goodness. Joe Donnelly. Oh, where you at, man? Yeah. One of our senators. Take Jesha Miller's petition using the Constitution checks and balances to the floor of the Senate to be acknowledged and addressed by government to uphold the integrity of the Constitution because each branch must be checked for corruption and abuse of power and hold officials accountable. Good Lord. Good googly. Yeah. And what? Hold up, wait a minute. You ain't got him? You got him? I've been wanting to call him out. Again, they're falling the roll out. Larry Bouchon. Checkout time. Constitution checks and balances. They all hear this. Violates the code of conduct. Refusing to uphold the Constitution, laws, and legal regulations of the United States and of all government therein being a party to their evasion. They evading the Constitution checks and balances. Congressman, get him, got him. Larry Bouchon, all y'all Bouchon boys, well, it's time to vacate. Checkout time. Oh, I ain't playing with you. I ain't playing with you. Well, I said, Eugene Louis Tadero is the United States Comptroller General, Comptroller the money, and he's supposed to be being a watchdog on him. He's supposed to hold him accountable for neglecting the United States Constitution, checks and balances. Bam! Speaker of the House. I told you when I'm coming, and I get him when I got him. There he is. Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. Yep. Have evidence that government takes over controlling with absolute power. At the end of the day, the actions are in defiance to the intent and in defiance of the Constitution. Once again,